we have people on the line that I know don't know each other. So let's just do a quick introduction and which panel or policy committee that you're introducing. And Ann, let's start with you.
Okay, I'm Ann Rajewski, the Executive Director of the Colorado Association of Transit Agencies. So I work with transit agencies from all over the state. We provide technical assistance, but also advocacy work.
And she will be co-chair along with Joe Kiley on the Transportation Committee this year.
Right.
Joe?
Joe Kiley, I'm Vice President of Operations for Ports to Plains Alliance.
Mark?
Hi, everyone. Mark Denreader, Elbert County Economic Development, and I'm going to be on Business Labor Subcommittee.
Kurt?
Good afternoon, everybody. Kurt Fried, President at Morgan Community College and a co-chair of education.
Melanie?
Hey, everybody. I'm Melanie Worley. I am Deputy Director for Council for Strong America, but I guess I'm actually acting director now for the next 18 months. And I'm going to be co-chair with Kurt.
No.
For business, or with Mark.
With
For
Mark.
business and labor. Yes.
And Sandy?
Hello, everybody. Sandy Engel. I'm the Economic Development Specialist for the City of Fort Morgan. And I'm not sure which committee that Kathy assigned me to. So I said I would be available for either committee.
We're going to put you in and you're going to be with Kurt on education.
Great.
In fact, education is going to be a 3 co-chair one. Kurt usually runs it all by himself and we're going to give him lots of help this year. So 2 of our economic development people wanted to do education, which I think is, it's a kind of a natural fit. So Troy McHugh from Lincoln County will also be a co-chair on education this year.
Great.
So let's just start out. We're going to try a couple of new things this year, and I'm still working on them. This year is, I know, going to be wild. We can already tell that, but this is an election year, not a presidential, but I think sometimes our state elections are almost worse than our presidential, but it's a state election year. Every member of the state house is up for election. We've added a new congressional district this year. So everybody is, and we've still got COVID in our background, Omicron, whatever the variant is at this particular time. And so it's going to be wild, but we're still a small group and there's only so much we can do. So just some basic rules to start out with. We don't care what party the bill comes from. It can come from the D's, it can come from the R's, it can come from both of them. The ones that come from both parties that are kind of bipartisan are a lot nicer to work with, and usually there's some pretty good foundation on those. We don't do social, and we don't get into those things that are really heavily political. So I will tell you, there's an awful lot on abortion this year. That's not something we will deal with within this organization. We do things that affect Northeast Colorado, period. And then from there, the state as a whole. We helped out Club 20 a year ago or 2 years ago on the wolf reintroduction, even though it really wasn't going to impact our part of the state. We saw it as a gateway initiative for something bigger to come down the road. And so we did weigh in on that. But most of those kind of things we would have to see where if we let one go through, then something else could go through that eventually would impact our part of the state. And we by no means do everything. There's something like 600 bills introduced every year. We may do 25 that we really weigh in on. There may be some bills that we already have a position we've taken at some point in time. And in fact, there's 2 bills right now that were identified at Voices of Rural Colorado last week, that we may already have a position on, which will allow us not to go through the whole process. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But if we do more than 25, you've only got me and whatever volunteer time you guys have to write letters, do testimony and all of that. Thank goodness they're still allowing remote testimony, which is a whole lot nicer to sit here at my desk and wait 5 hours to do 3-minute testimony than it is to drive an hour, wait 5 hours, do 3 minutes, and then drive 5 hours home. So that makes it a little bit easier that they're still allowing remote testimony, because I can do other things than that, 5-hour wait time or whatever. The process that also any bills that they assign to what they call the State Veterans Affairs Committee, we just don't even look at. That's the kill committee. So Sandy, that may be a new term for you, but if it's on that committee, they send it there to just let it go and die. Once in a great while, it comes back out of there, but not very often. So basically, you guys as co-chairs will get I go through all the bills basically on a daily basis. There's anywhere from 25 to 30 introduced every day. And I go through theirs and I try to glean out the ones that I think are most important to our region. And I may miss some, and I may gather some that really aren't all that important. You guys' job will be to go through those and help me reduce them down to really the most important ones for us. And we're going to do a little new system this day. And I sent you all links to sign up. I know, Joe, I saw you did. And we'll go over this here in a little bit. And then when we have our policy committee meetings, that anybody that's a member of Pro 15 can be on those calls and discuss with us. That's when we take our positions. We're either for something, we're against something. We've decided it's not really to the level of importance and let's just take it off our list and forget it. Or we still think it's kind of important, but we don't have enough information yet, and we're going to monitor it for a while. As we get closer to the end of session, which is usually around the 1st of May, it gets too late to monitor them. If we're still monitoring, my recommendation is just forget about it. We're not going to get to a position generally. Other than me introducing bills, we may have members that bring bills to us. And we've already had 2 bills brought to us by members that are already on the list that either they were working on or they had heard through the grapevine. So those will be on lists, and usually those members will be on the calls to talk to us about it. Those are a little easier to work with because they really know what's going on in the bill. We'll have one from Colorado REA. There's a water bill and there's a transportation bill that are all 3 real high up in our awareness and importance level. When we get to the discussion and actually into how I did it last year, and it seemed to work really well. All the committees meet on the same time, 2 times a week. And I'll just go through and say, we'll start out with ag, water, and natural resources, or we'll start out with education. We just kind of jump around, and I'll say, which are the 2 most important to you today? And they'll discuss their most important bills, and we'll make whatever decision, and then we'll go to the next committee. And these are an hour. If we have time, then we'll go back to ag and say, do you have another one that's important? And we may not get to every bill on your list every time. But I think last year that process worked pretty well. And that made us be a little more aware of what was the most important thing for our region. And you'll have more time to watch them this year, and you won't have to wait for me to send you something, because you guys will be able to go in night or day, any day of the week, and look at what's up there and see the latest stance on them. And we'll go over that in a minute. We will not record the policy committee meetings, because I do truly figure that the policy committee meetings has got to be a safe place for us to really discuss what we think and say what we think. So therefore, as chairs, you will be asked to sign confidentiality statements. And I think it happened once last year. And I did have a discussion with the chair, and it kind of stopped it. But that the information was shared up until the time that the board votes on the position that you have recommended, and until the time I release it either through an email or a press release, there's no position. So, you know, if you want to say, you know, well, what if, you know, if we say, say it's on the one that's coming up, which is on transportation commissioners, they want to make it go to an election. And in the discussion you hear, well, that might get rid of all of the rural transportation commissioners. That's not necessarily a confidential thing. But if you say that might get rid of 5 out of 8, that's a little different. So, but you could go out and say, well, how would that affect rural Colorado? That's a good discussion to go on. If you say, well, Gary Beatty be gone, then that's different. So it's kind of a nuanced thing. But more so with you guys as chairs, you're going to know more about some of the inside stuff that's going on. Joe, Melanie, Kurt, you've done a lot of this more. You sit on other boards, this confidential stuff. And it's partly what happened last year was I got 3 calls about a position we had taken, and it had not been announced publicly. That's more what I'm concerned about. You know, all of a sudden the newspaper reporters are calling me saying, I understand that you're against this particular bill, and it hadn't even all the way made it through the board yet. And so somebody within one of our committee chairs had gone out and told somebody, and I called him and I said, no, just because the committee voted for it doesn't mean it's final yet. So that is the other thing, the process. We talk about it in committee. You all vote for your position. I take it to the board, and they have 48 hours to approve or not approve your recommendation. If they don't approve it, they have to say why. And then I bring it back to you to say, do you agree with them or not? And you can override the board. You are the final arbitrator. Sometimes the board will know something you won't know just because of their reach. I think that's only happened one time in my 16 years. And the board really did know something that none of us knew elsewhere. So the chances of that happening are extremely slim. And as I'm sitting here, 1, 2, 3 of you of the group here are sitting on the board. So it makes it nice that board members are on these committees. So that's kind of how the process is. Any questions on that general thing? Melanie, Kurt, Joe, did I leave anything out? And you've been a committee chair for a while. Mark, Sandy, you're new. Did I completely confuse you?
She just said we can talk trash, but we can't talk trash outside of this room.
That's it. Yeah, because I talked trash Friday and I thought I did nice trash talk. I was very polite. I just told him he's wrong. No, I think I told him he didn't understand what we were trying to say. Oh, but so far he hasn't taken me off of the state college board, so I guess I'm okay. Oh, okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now.
You just told him, get a grip.
No, I didn't say that. Don't start rumors on this recording. We're recording now. Oh. Okay. So did you all get your email inviting you to be part of the Politico report or core? Politic report? Politico.
Yes.
Okay. So when you click on that, you're going to come to this report that looks like this. It's LegiScan, and you're going to want to click on monitor bills. And I'm still working on this. There's one section of this that is not showing up like what I want. But all of our stances right now have a question mark because we've not taken any stance on a bill. But at any time, once you're invited, you can go on here. And once you've accepted, you can go on here. So the first one, let's see, we don't have any healthcare people on here, but let's go see what plant-based medicines to support mental health is all about. You can click on this bill and it'll take you right to the bill. And it'll take you to all of what the bill actually says. And you can view the recent text. You can see what the history of, so it's been introduced in the House to Public and Behavioral Health and Human Services. The sponsors are Representative Valdez, Senator Janal, and Representative Hooten. I know just because I'm around them a lot, these are pretty much Democrats. So these are naturally occurring hallucinogenic plant-based compounds. And I can't pronounce any of them, but they want to be, and I've been hearing this on the news. And that's why we have a Health and Human Services Committee. We got Carla, mental health, and Nicole Centura in a hospital setting. That some of these they are hearing have been working for mental health issues and PTSD issues, and it might not even be one that raises to a level for Northeast Colorado. But anyhow, this is where you would find that. But if you go back here, so it's been assigned to, it's not supposed to be assigned to education. Sorry, guys. I know that's not, you don't want to talk about that. Oops. Oh, so you go to discuss. And if the people have signed up for this that are members, they can add comments in here. So before we get to our actual policy committee meeting, our members can put a post in here and a comment, which will give us some more leeway, some more background. I'm not going to put any Facebook comment plug-in stuff in there. And I believe I could make you all managers to where if you run into one of these that you don't think rises to the level that we even need to talk about it, you can remove it yourself? Or you can add one on here? I'm still working on that. But now, does that scare you too much? If I give you that authority?
Kathy, just for my clarification, that where you were at was in the comments section. Do you mean we could remove the comments, or we could
No, you
change
could,
the status?
you could remove if I make you a manager, you could actually, if you were Health and Human Services Chair, and you said, no, this is not one we want to take a position on, you could just go in and remove it.
Kathy, the ability to view the comments, who has that ability?
Anybody that's a member.
Okay.
And I will monitor the comments very closely. I have the ability to move them if anybody's in there being jerky, then number one, I can remove them. They can still come to the committee meetings, but I can remove their ability to participate in this part of it. I can uninvite them because they have to be invited to be this part of the process.
You know, I wouldn't feel bad about removing the bill if the members understood there was a time limit for them to place their comments in there. They
Well,
have,
except these bills are arbitrary about being there. It's in my head that I put it there. This is before the committee meeting. So this is from the time, like on a Friday afternoon, that you look at these before the Wednesday committee meeting.
okay,
You know what I'm saying?
yes, I do. They're about that at least is a time limit, Kathy. So
Or instead of removing, do I not let you remove, but let you add to by a Friday afternoon before? So if I miss something, you know how somebody's always saying at a meeting, well, can I add this? And I say no, because the members don't know about it. But if you can add it up until Friday afternoon before, or do you just not even want to mess with that part of it? And just go in and look at it and be prepared and look at any comments that might have been made. I don't want to make it too overwhelming. You're the first group, so you guys get to decide.
I'm thinking we probably should not have that power without discussing it with somebody else, whether it's the committee or the co-chair or something.
Well, and your power only lies on whether it's up for discussion or not.
Yeah,
And so what you could do, if you see one is missing, tell me and I'll put it on. That way I also don't have a whole bunch of you in there messing around with my system.
I feel better about that.
So you have up until, so we're meeting on the first and the third Wednesdays. So you have up until the Friday before to add something. Or tell me that something is just totally not relevant. Because I could read these wrong, you know. They might not apply to anything out here at all. Because I don't sit and read every bill word for word for word.
Why not?
I don't know. But you guys now don't have to wait for me to send you an email. You could go on here every night and look at the new ones if you wanted to. Because I just did these as of noon today. So I know there's new bills that have been introduced since then, but I've got to get the next column in there that says which committee they're assigned to, so that's easier for you to find. I just printed out a 48-page directory on how to do this, but I haven't finished reading that yet. So like this one concerning the use of revenue from a local tax on lodging. See, I just read that title. So tax on lodging is something almost all of us have out here in this region. So I don't want to messing around with our lodging tax out here. So this is R's and D's both. Oh, so this is allowing, and this would go into the business and labor part.
Right.
So this is saying that the tax levied on rooms and accommodations could be used not only for marketing and promotion, but it could be used for workforce recruitment, management, development, facilitating and enhancing visitor experience, allows the district to make capital expenditures. Used for economic development.
Sounds to me like we like that.
It's a big expansion. I could see it a plus or a minus in some of the smaller communities. I could see it become a power grab in Fort Morgan, but Sandy's shaking her head because it has to do with small town politics.
But it says that the county already has a lodging tax that is limited to advertising, has to go to a vote of the people.
Yeah. So then it'd have to go to a vote of the people. And also the other thing is the counties pretty much subsidize the local economic development offices. So this would get them out of having to pay for it. So, but you're right, it then goes to the vote of the people. So it's up to the people what they want to do. So up until they did capital expenditures, I was like, recruitment and some of that I was for. But that's a personal thing. That's not looking at what's good for the region. See, so that's where we have to really watch it. So anyhow, that's one, and that rises, and Mark, I'm sure you would feel the same way, that rises to the level of a regional issue. Do you guys in Elbert County have a lodging tax, or do they have in Elizabeth?
No, we actually have no lodging in the county, but as a region, I would agree.
You have no hotels in Elizabeth?
Correct.
That's right. It's been a while since I've been through there, but I can't believe they haven't put something in there, Super 8 or.
Yeah, it surprises me as well.
Okay, so those are the kind of things then that you guys like, okay, so Melanie and Mark, this would be one that you would then, kind of maybe have some pros and cons, and then leave it up to the group to discuss and whether they want to support or not support. And then we send it to the board and send it to the board, and the board ratifies your position or doesn't. And then we send a letter to all of our people and testify if we need to. And then we announce it to the world that we're supporting or opposing this piece of legislation and why. And so that's what I do for the next 3 months, as well as everything else. So then we might come up on one. So this is one that I was not sure about at all. Let's see. Okay. whether this rose to the level of really, so that, and this only has one sponsor right now. This bill authorizes the Board of Education to meet in executive session to discuss negotiations for employment contract with one or more finalists for the position of CEO. Which is basically superintendent of the school district. Means that they can not only interview finalists in public forum, they can interview finalists in executive session. I put it in there, but that might not be one that really is a big issue in Northeast Colorado, or it may be a bigger issue than what I know of. So that might be one that we say, yeah, it's important, but is it important enough to, write a letter and testify and, or are there other issues in education that are more important? So you can see kind of how we end up looking at these, and that might be one we say, okay, let's don't spend a lot of time on this one. By the time you go through 700, 600 bills, whatever they end up with this year. And on Friday, when we were up there were 18 people gone from the legislature with Omicron. So who knows? Supposedly we've hit our peak and we're going downhill, but who knows whether they'll go, whether they'll stop session again like they've done the last 2 years, or whether they'll go all virtual or what. So we just kind of have to be prepared for everything. I hope they don't stop. It's so hard to get started again. And then they go 100 per. I mean, they just like, you can't keep up with them when they come back to try to get it all done. So I will tell you that we have some bills on here that the local media one, I haven't had a chance to read that, but that just piqued my interest that I thought we needed to look at. This one, there's one in here on microgrids, which will be Colorado REA has introduced. They've been working on this all year. This one on University of Northern Colorado to so that would be in our region to offer medical degrees. Senator Sonnenberg has brought that forward. They would make them like the one in, is it Arapahoe or Douglas County, Melanie?
It's in Parker, Colorado, so it's Douglas.
Okay, they used to be members, but I put that on there because that is University of Northern Colorado in our area. There is, the microgrids, that's the one Colorado REA brought to us. And there's one on the changing the Transportation Commission from an appointed position to an elected position, which could virtually eliminate any rural commissioners on the Transportation Commission. So, and then the other one is, Senate Bill 029. You might just kind of look at these ahead of time. Water speculation in the state. Basically what that is property rights, and they're identifying a group of people that can't sell their water rights to make money.
What?
Oh, no, not in Colorado. It's Mutual Ditch Companies, which they're identifying, but Mutual Ditch Company is still an owner of the right, and they own the water, just like a corporation or whoever else, Denver Water owns the water, it's their property. Club 20 has already come out against it, so is Action 22. I think this is one that we have enough on record. We already can be against without having, I think we have policies in place that will allow us to be against this one. But it's only aimed at mutual ditch companies, water rights, because they can then make money off of them, and they call that speculation.
To me, that's a nose under the tent.
Well, and it was introduced by Don Coram on the Western Slope. And of course, Club 20 just immediately, and he's a Republican. He introduced it with Kerry Donovan, who's a Democrat. So it's a bipartisan one, but it was directly aimed at mutual ditch companies. So there's some other story behind it.
Well, it must
This
be
one may be done with before we even get to our first meeting next week. I just got to go back and look at our policies one more time to make sure I'm not on thin ice, that I'm on solid ground.
Isn't Don Coram running for office?
Yes, he is. And Don was there Thursday night. Did you see?
Yeah.
He was sitting at the other fireplace next to us.
Yeah.
Something weird. Not the Don that I thought I knew. So anyhow, but then everybody that was running for the third against Lauren Boebert was there Thursday night and Friday and Thursday. I've never seen so many people running for Senate District 3, or House District 3. But those of you that weren't there, I totally understand why you weren't there. Kurt, I'm glad you did not come. Ann, I'm glad you did not come. The rest of us wore our masks, and I'm praying because I know there was a lot running around the room, them little Omicron things. So hopefully we all escaped unharmed, but there was some excellent information. And I think Christian said she taped a bunch of it. So hopefully we'll have bits and pieces of it shared. Questions?
I just want to be clear again, when we log in, you said you're going to add a column with the committee to it. Is there some place we can just select the committee so that we're only looking at those from our committee?
The only place that it will show is if you just go to look at the detail. And no, there's not as of right now. That's what, hopefully between now and when we have 50 on here, no, hopefully between now and the end of the week, I'll have that figured out. I think I will have it done to where you can sort them here and have all your education all together.
That would be great.
And that's the one piece that I'm still training on or trying to figure out. And it can't be that hard, but for Monday morning or Monday, it evidently is that hard. I need one of them college students that just can go on and go, oh, yeah, that's what I want. But I like this, that you guys can get to this at any time. I don't have to convert it to a spreadsheet or a PDF and do all of that extra work. It's just there, you know. And each day, all I have to do is look at the ones that haven't been reviewed, because the ones I've already reviewed, I've like put a different label on so they don't show up in my feed every day. I think it'll be much cleaner. I just have got to figure out how to get that one more column on there so that you guys can, I mean, you can tell, but then you have to open up every one. And I don't want you to have to do that. So,
Kathy, along those lines, just a quick question. I mean, obviously, some of them are obvious that belong to our particular committee. Like, you know, they have the word education in it or something, you know, in this case. But let's say even though I'm sitting on the education committee, let's say I was bopping through here and I don't know, something caught my eye, like you said, the water has nothing to do with education. And I open it up and I'm like going, hey, this really, I feel has something to do with Northeast Colorado. Can I go ahead, even though I'm not on that committee,
yes,
make note of that and type in the discussion?
yes,
Okay.
please do. And Sandy, if you have, if you see something on there that you think Brent Nation needs to do, tell me to invite Brent.
Okay.
Anybody that works for the city can be a member of the committees. They're not the chairs, they're members. So anybody that's a member of Pro 15 can be a member of the committee.
Okay.
So if there's something on water that comes up, tell Brent, and he probably will already have an invitation, but say, Brent, there's this bill that they're going to be discussing. Go on and look on it and make comments.
Yeah.
Because he's your water guy. Or, you know, it with Steve with a local tax issue, or there's some of these local government things that we kind of let Colorado Counties Inc. or Colorado Municipal League for Cities,
Mhm.
we kind of let them take the lead on it. And then we might back them up if they ask us for support. There's like, this is a real big one that's I've noticed that's up here a lot of times. Authority of the Board of Commissioners to dissolve a special district. And those are all by vote. And one that they can go in and replace a board member on a special district. So I've got to reach out to the Colorado Counties Inc. because that one I see could be very, very controversial. I mean, like the county being able to replace somebody on the rural fire board. Because that's voted on by the people that pay the fees in the district. So I'm not sure, but there's,
Kathy, the dissolution right now, the Department of Local Affairs is the one that has the ability to dissolve a special district, and they don't do it. So there's special districts still in it that don't have any activity at all.
okay, so that would make sense. See, and that's how some of these are worded so differently. So see, that would be one that we would probably follow the lead of Colorado Counties Inc. and support them on that. And that they ask us a lot to support different things. So I may have another one on here by then, unless it's already, and that may be that one they were asking me about. So yes, even though you're on the education committee, there may be economic development things on here, Sandy, there may be water things, there may be healthcare things. We're nothing out here if not diverse in everything that we do. So you're not tied down to any one thing. Okay, I wanted to keep you at 45 minutes. We've gone 2 minutes over. I'm sorry. I'll try to give it back to you at some other point in time. You will have this recording that I will send the link to you. You will have that to look at. And if you have questions, just let me know. If you want to, you can come on tomorrow morning again at 9:30 and listen to the same spiel. Otherwise, enjoy your Monday before the snowstorm. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank
See
you
ya.
all.
Kathy, I had an issue with the login. I thought I'd just let you know. It looks like I've got maybe a browser issue and I need to reboot the browser, reboot the computer. I'm hoping that it fixes